Well, I got a new toy and I am really excited about this one. This is the Leagues of Votann Sagitaur, however you say it. Now what this is just basically call it a light armored vehicle. It's got a door in the back so it can carry personnel. So, it's along the lines of an armored personnel carrier, a rhino, or something like that. But it's 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 really cool. Now, when I'm done, it'll be able to fit, in the palm of my hand. So it's not a huge kit, but it's really cool looking. When I'd first seen that they were going to release this, they actually released two vehicles like this for the Leagues of Votann. One is the Land Fortress, and it's big. I mean, it's big, got guns all over it. Really cool looking. Same style as that. I'll throw up a picture on the screen, but you can see in that picture, there's a reason why I chose the Sagitaur over the Land Fortress. This one is just way more affordable. I was able to get it on eBay from a reseller who can sell it at a lower price. Games Workshop authorizes resellers to sell at a lower price than they do. I was able to get this kit for $51, which, if you know your Games Workshop prices, that's kind of a bargain. So I like the other one, but now that I've gotten this one, I am completely happy with the fact that I got it, and I'm really looking forward to building it. Now, I'm going to forever call this Aunt Tammy's minivan, because when the photos first came out of this thing, they showed this, I think they showed this photo, but they showed this figure right here. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a male or a female figure, but somebody said it looks like my Aunt Tammy. And he said, I guess this is her minivan. Now, I'll probably use this character right here just because I like the look of that with that World War I style helmet, aviator helmet on, and the goggles and all of that. But yeah, Aunt Tammy's minivan. But you can see these two weapons options swap out on the top. Got this really cool rocket launcher here. I mean, who doesn't love rockets with their, red tips and all of that? And then this laser gun shooty thing. And look at the opportunities for weathering on that. I just love that. There's going to be a gun up front. How'd you like to have that in traffic? And then there's some stowage on the back, which is always fun to paint. So, and there you get a good look at the design. I really like that design. That just looks so, it looks like if NASA went to war, one of those moon vehicles or something. This really speaks to the kid in me, and that 1970s sci-fi vibe. You can see this bouncing around on the moon kind of thing. I just really like the look of it. And just a quick look through the instructions. There's the picture of it again, and the forward cockpit is just a tub. Lots of detail in it, though. The figure's legs are molded into this front part, and then you just put on different heads. Probably what I'll do is I'll paint all of this completely separate. I'm probably going to do it for the YouTube video. I don't know that I would. I don't think I'm going to make it a separate video. But I'll probably just do it for the YouTube video. But I'll paint all of these parts separate, and then just bring them all together. And hopefully they'll look pretty good. There's a lot of detail in it, all sorts of instrumentation and things for dry brushing and painting and glowy effects. And, I probably won't because I'm not that motivated, but you could really do some impressive OSL effects on the front of the figure if you wanted to make it look like the instrumentation glow was on their face. That's a real thing. I remember one time being in the woods here in North Carolina out on an exercise, and I had my night vision goggles and had some downtime. I was just looking up into the night sky, and a Black Hawk flew over. And as it flew over, I could clearly see through my night vision goggles the glow of the instruments on the pilot's face. He was that low. So I mean that's a real thing. It's really cool. But then you bring the cockpit together into this just 2-part hull, and then you can see this is where there's a door on the back, and then they've got the top armor that goes on it, and then more of this metal framework that goes on it, and then the wheels, and then the armor bits. Now, I really like this layout because what it's going to mean is I'm going to be able to break the model down by how the colors that I'm going to paint it, because the Under Armour part, besides the metal part, that's all going to be this kind of off-white color, and there's going to be this metal framework. So I'll be able to paint this part with all that back armor and all that. I'll be able to paint that. I'll glue the canopy in place. I'll paint that the white color, and then I can paint all the silver parts, and I can do all sorts of weathering and shading and highlighting and all of that on there. I'll be able to do the tires, the wheels, and the suspensions separately, so I'll be able to get that painted up and looking good. Then these armor bits, because you see, I'm going to stick with this, I think it's I can't remember which faction this is, but I lose track of all of them. But you see how those bits are the green color. So I'll be able to paint those off the model, paint them green, and then bring it all together and put the weapons on, stick this little thing up here on, and the gun on, and I'll be able to do all the colors and all of that separate, bring it all together, and then weather it as one unit. And that should look really cool. It's got some for Games Workshop, it's got some fairly extensive clear parts. They have you putting them on near the end. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to put it on roughly when I get to this stage, because what I'll do is I'll actually paint. I'm going to mask it off either with masking fluid or parafilm, and then I'll probably, when I prime it, because I'm going to prime it in black, when I prime it, I'll prime the clear parts, because the interior is going to be black. So I'll prime the clear parts black, so from the inside of the canopy it appears as the same color as the interior. And then when I paint over it with the lighter color, that'll go over the framework, and it'll do a much better job of making the clear parts look like a cohesive part of the rest of the model, and not like something you put on at the end. Now, they do show them as black, but since I'm going to be brush painting this, I'll be able to paint that black. I may just leave it black. I may change that plan in the meantime. Who knows? But my plan is to glue that on early right now. Building it may show that that's not the wisest course of action. But another thing I like is a lot of times when they have these gun options, they've got this gun. Well, you can do this one, and this one. And a lot of times what you end up having to do is, because of the parts involved in each gun, you end up having to choose between one or the other. It looks like, on examining the part numbers here, it looks like they give you the option of building all three, and thus, you don't glue them in, so they'll be able to pop those in and out at will, which is going to help if I resell it, because then somebody will have all the guns available to them, which is a cool thing. But you see, there's some stowage that goes on the back, and that's a nice touch. Always nice to have stowage on any kind of vehicle, and I think it's going to look really cool. There's the stats that people use in the game. I have no idea what that means. Now they have a clear sprue. One of the parts had come loose, so I just taped it to the sprue so I don't lose track of it. The GW's game when it comes to clear parts is not real good. It's kind of thick because they leave the parts unwrapped in the packaging. They get scratched up a lot. Although for a ground fighting vehicle, I don't mind the scratches. but it's not real clear. I could do a future dip to make it a little more clear. I may do that. I don't know. If I do it, I'll probably do it off camera and not even really mention it. Maybe I'll do it as a Patreon video because you guys might be interested in seeing that. But the clear parts are, I mean, they're good. They're usually shaped well. They've got really good framing, so they're easy to paint. But they just tend to be a little thick, not the most finessed parts. But there again, I mean, for their purposes, I understand it. It's more utilitarian in nature than something like if you're building an aircraft and you want it to be closer to realistic. So it's much more clear, much thinner, that kind of thing. Now here you see the sprue with the main part of the hull on it, and there's lots of little details on there, hoses and pipes and things like that to paint. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All of the background areas are going to be white, and then I'm going to paint all of these raised areas some kind of metallic. Majority of it will be kind of a silver, probably lead belcher or the new some of my new Too Thin Coats paints. And then all of this, but the rest of this will just be white, and then I'll grime it up a little bit. There's the tires, great detail there. They are split down the middle, but the way they do the design, there's kind of an indent between the two halves, and so I'll be able to just slip in a little bit of mud, and that's gonna hide that. But you can see really nice detail on the rims. That's going to be super fun to paint, man. I am looking forward to that. That's really cool. Here's more of the gun parts. There you can see the back of the interior area where the driver sits right here. And you just see there's all sorts of little dials and switches. And notice on the face of them, it's not just raised knobs, but there's additional raised detail on top of that. That's a really nice touch. Then there's that stowage on the back. That's going to be so much fun to paint. The suspension parts, armor, some of the guns. Because in lore, the Leagues of Votann have a mining background. Everything seems to have like a pickaxe and shovel and stuff like that. So they've got that there. But just super, super cool stuff. I like that even though some of these guns have multiple parts, they seem to have cast them so that the ends of the barrels are one part, which I think is very helpful, very beneficial to have it that way, so you're not having to try and clean up seams on the end of the barrel, which is always a bit of a pain. Here's the last sprue, and you'll see up in the top there's a place for a little crewman. They have these, part of the Leagues of Votann, they have these characters that are called Ironkin, which they look like the rest of the Leagues of Votann, except their heads are just these little metal pods. They're essentially AI, an AI being that helps them out with their stuff and is, you know, part of their society and all of that. And then you've got the pilot figure chest there. That sculpt is just gorgeous. And you've got the heads. There's Aunt Tammy, and and then the other two that just, I mean, they just have so much character to them. This is the one that I'm gonna use. You can see the instrumentation there for the driver. It's got his handles that he's holding on to for driving, and just a few of the armor parts. You can see there his legs molded into the bottom. It's going to be real easy to paint, and it'll look good doing this, you know, even though it's molded in. Because the background will be black, really all I'll have to do is paint, and it's going to be under that canopy. I'll just have to paint basically the top edges of the clothing there, and I can leave it fairly dark because it will be in shadow, so that's not going to be a problem. And I'm just really impressed with how GW's kits the last few years just have so much surface detail, and they look so good. I'm just really happy with these. But like with these little, wherever these little pipes go, I don't even know where they go yet. There's just so much opportunity for highlighting and shadowing and all of that. I mean, to me, that's just the fun part, to make all the details pop out. This one is really, really one that I've been looking forward to. And as they've been doing with all of their Leagues of Votann releases, they're providing a very extensive decal set that has markings. These are all the different factions. The Greater Thurian League, that's the one that I was looking for earlier, the name. That's the green guys. The Trans-Hyperion Alliance, I think they're orange. The rest of them, I think the Ymiric Conglomerate is red. The others, I don't remember. I don't even know how to say a couple of these, but they have very extensive marking sets in terms of the various factions, and then the numbers. Both I love it when they include both white and black numbers, because sometimes you want to do a light paint scheme and sometimes you want to do a dark paint scheme, and having the number sets in both colors really helps with that. But nice decals, as always. Citadel decals are always very nice, very fun to use. Some of the higher quality decals you're going to find in any model kit from any manufacturer. I am really looking forward to building this one. And I know I say that about every one of them, but I mean, this one really does just, I think because of the combination of, like I said, that early 70s sci-fi vibe, the parts breakdown, the colors, the design, it's just all so cool looking. And it's not going to be this giant, massive thing that's going to take forever to build. So I'm really looking forward to that part of it. And again, I say this too, you know, if you've never tried a Warhammer vehicle, this would be a great one to try. This one really would be a great one to try. The cost is good. The design is really cool. The possibilities are endless. I saw somewhere somebody had mocked up a paint scheme on this thing that was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles paint scheme. It had their markings on it and everything. It just looks so cool. Somebody else had plans of doing this as a NASA vehicle and actually doing it in a moon type diorama that they were talking about. And I think it would be perfect for that. So this would be a great vehicle. It's not so huge that it's going to take forever. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You know, I mean, it's just, there's so many advantages to this one from a introductory standpoint. So again, if this would be a great one to start with. Now, I'll put links down below in the Patreon description to the Games Workshop store where they have this for sale so that you can see, assuming they don't sell out, but so you can see the photos. You can take a look at it if you want to examine the photos closer, examine the parts more. I'll also put a link to the eBay reseller. He's called Flipside Gaming, but I'll put a link to his store because he can sell them at a lower price than Games Workshop does. So that discount it's not giant, but it's significant enough that I always, because he's able to get all of the stuff for pre-order, so I always pre-order it from him rather than GW to save a few bucks whenever I order Warhammer kits. So hopefully that can save you a little bit of coins. Well, that'll wrap this up. As always, thanks so much for being a patron and supporting the work that I do and supporting me and my family. We are grateful for it. Happy day to you, friends. Bye-bye.